win. Sure feels nice. Kenneth Lofton, is that who the Jazz tanked for? Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, before we get into this, let's just give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com, use promo code HoopsNerd. They will match up to $100. If you bet the over on Kenny Lofton points, you would have won tonight. And Keyonte George with a big night, 20 points as well. Go to prizepicks.com. One of the guys on playback had the overs on threes for Fred VanVleet, and he hit it in the first quarter. Easy money. Anyway, so go to prizepicks.com if you've never done it before. Use promo code HoopsNerd. That is free money on me, and it supports the channel. I would appreciate it. All right, let's talk about this Jazz team who got their win tonight. And if you're wringing your hands, if you're worried because the Jazz are trying to get that better pick, this did not matter. Whether they win or lose, the Jazz are, for the most part, locked into the 8th spot. So tonight, the 13-game winning streak is over, but Utah is still 2 games down on, let's see, so they'll be 29-51. They have a cushion there, and I don't think the Jazz are going to win 2 more games. I mean, that's, I guess, possible. But it was nice to see a win for this Utah Jazz team tonight that really, you could tell the team needed it. 13 games in a row to lose, that's a lot of losing. And so for them to get a nice win was really, I'm sure, great for the spirit of this team. Let's just talk. I mean, we got to acknowledge it a little bit. Fred VanVleet was incredible tonight. I mean, he took 30 shots by the end of the night, but he scored 42. He was insane in the first quarter. He missed like his last 3 threes, but he was like 8 for 9 at one point. So maybe he missed his last 4 or something like that. But man, he was awesome for them. Jalen Green was not the same as he was last time they played the Jazz. He was pretty bad tonight, minus 23. So interesting outcome for the Rockets this game. They aren't quite the same, and maybe because they have been eliminated from the playoffs, they don't really care. All right, let's talk about the Utah Jazz. What a fun win that was. Holy smokes, that was fun. The Jazz have something in Kenneth Lofton, and we'll talk about that in a second here, but they had some nice nights from a lot of people. By the way, Jordan, you are correct. The fouls they were giving him at the end of the game, and then they didn't overturn the one, which is pretty wild. I mean, honestly, crazy. Still managed to win the game, Utah, and despite some rough turnovers to end the game, it was basically who could turn over and miss the ball the most. And the Utah Jazz did it less, but they played well. Luka Samanic played well tonight. I was really hard on him on the playback. By the way, if you want to watch the game with me, go to playback and follow SLC Dunk, and you can watch it live with me there. I think it's a little easier to just do it there, and then I'll do the live post-game after here. So anyways, Samanic was solid tonight, although the three-point shot wasn't falling. If the three was falling for him, Utah would have... There were a lot of things tonight that if they just, the Jazz had a few things go their way, they'd have blown out this Rockets team. Basically, Fred VanVleet kept the Rockets in this one. But Samanic goes 1 for 7 from 3, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Probably his best game as a Jazz man. No question. He was really nice. Not a lot else to say. I mean, you're gonna have nights like this where he looks pretty good. And for the most part in this, post-trade deadline time frame, he has not been good. But he was nice tonight. And you got to give him credit. Taylor Hendricks, he had some moments. He had that 1-3 where he just didn't seem to contest it very hard, and he was benched after that. And I think that's a learning experience for him. I mean, when he gets that on those perimeter players, you've got to contest better. Considering how good he is, there's just no reason why players should be just pulling up and knocking it down with Hendricks on him. So I think that's basically, that play was why he got benched. But in his moments on the floor, he did play well. 4 assists for Taylor Hendricks, and he had some dimes tonight. I'm just excited about the development of Hendricks and George and Sensabaugh too, who had some really nice moments tonight as well. 4 for 9 from 3, just glancing at it. But Hendricks is shooting the ball really well. 1 for 2 from 3. He's getting more and more comfortable. 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Look at that. 3 steals and a block. And he only played 18 minutes. It could also be because the Jazz play tomorrow that Hendricks was they benched him for rest, but they wanted to win this game. Now, the Jazz on the road are a completely different team, and I don't suspect they'll play as well as they did tonight. So it was really nice to appreciate the Jazz tonight on their last home game, but what you got to do is appreciate what you saw. And the 18 minutes that Hendricks played, he showed a lot of great things. Getting benched because of the bad contest, I can see that, but I wonder if it's also a mix of, you know what, Samanic is playing well. They kept Kenneth Lofton out there because he absolutely crushed it this game. He was incredible. And I think they thought, you know what, it's okay. Let's not push it. Let's let Kenneth Lofton go. And I think that's becoming a little bit of a calling card for Will Hardy, is that he runs with the guys that are playing well. If a certain set of guys are doing really well, he's running with them. And so that was interesting. And Kenneth Lofton was amazing. It was 100% the right choice. Christian House Money to Haas, $5. My man, thank you so much. Finally a win. I'll take it at this point. Yes, I agree. It's nice to root for them to win, right? And then to watch them win, it's even better. It was just really satisfying stuff tonight. And thank you, House Money. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. Derek comes in with $1.99. Thank you, my man, Derek. I appreciate it. Keep up the good stuff. I'm going to do my best. By the way, I'm going to start doing more podcast stuff. I had Leif Tulane. I talked to another guy. I'm hoping that it all works out, but I'm going to have someone from No Ceilings come on the draft. I've got some other people online that I'm going to go talk to, and I've had certain guests that I think everyone would be excited to listen to that want to come on, but just because of the grind of the season, it's been difficult. So we're going to see. I'm going to try to get everyone I can on the draft, and especially next year with the draft, depending on what the Jazz do. But I appreciate you guys. James, Real Jazz Nation has been here the start of the beginning of the journey. Buckle up. Things are about to get insane. I hope so. When you say insane, I don't know. I think the Jazz getting Cooper Flag is a real thing, and I'm going to be, oh my gosh, I'm going to die of happiness if it happens. Yurtsevin was okay tonight. 5 for 9 from the field. He was knocking down. These are all those kind of hook shots he does. They were really nice. Played pretty decent. The game before, not so great between him and Samanic. It was not good. But tonight, Samanic and Yurtsevin, I think overall were pretty solid. Anyways, 19 minutes from Yurtsevin, you know, you can't really ask for anything better. He was great. And as a third big, he's really solid and nice to have on the team. Johnny Juzang is an absolute shooter. Look at this. 2 for 3 from 3 tonight. He hit a big-time 3 in this one late in the game off the wing. Let's just see. I think he got to 40%. Let's just hope, because I want to have a 40% three-point shooter. Yes, baby. 40% even for Johnny Juzang right there. The guy is an absolute shooter. I think he's a player you keep on the roster next year, and he plays pretty well, and I liked how he handled the ball a little bit tonight. It was nice to watch. Diego, I'm happy for the win because it doesn't matter. The Jazz are locked in at 8. The Jazz are locked in at the 8 spot. So really at this point, I mean, unless they win another one, then I'll start getting a little nervous. But the Jazz have a 2-game lead on Brooklyn for that 8 spot. In fact, let's refresh this. There we go. So Utah is 2 games down on Brooklyn. They would have to they would have to win the next 2 games to tie with Brooklyn. And even then, it's a coin toss at that point, literal coin toss. So, anyways, nice to see I like to root for the team to win, guys. But we talked about it on the playback. There's different motivations at different times in your sports fandom. Right now, the Jazz are looking to develop their young players. Winning the games is fun, but it's not the goal. The goal is to develop players, and the goal is to improve their draft position. And the win tonight was actually really nice for a lot of reasons. One, it didn't matter. The Jazz, they can win the next game, and it still doesn't matter. Now, if they win the next 2, I'm going to be annoyed. But I'm going to appreciate the wins when it doesn't matter. When you get the wins, you got to appreciate them. And you got to appreciate what the players did tonight. Because there's been a lot of people out there grumbling and frustrated with the loss, but the Jazz are losing on purpose. This was completely on purpose. So on a night like tonight, where they're trying to win the game and they're playing well and you get good nights from multiple guys, you got to appreciate it. We saw great stuff from so many people. And like I said with Johnny Juzang, he played 23 minutes tonight. They were important minutes. He scored 10 points, but he absolutely hits those threes. And he had some good he had 1 assist tonight. He had 2 rebounds, 1 block shot. There were just some nice things from Juzang. I'm glad he's on the team. In fact, talking about guys that I would like on the team, just what we've talked about, Taylor Hendricks, obviously. Yurtseven, I'm fine, but I think you can find replacement bigs. The thing that Yurtseven teaches you is that you can go get a third big on the free agency market whenever, and they can play well. So if the Jazz lose Yurtseven, they can go get someone else. But it was nice to see Yurtseven play. Johnny Juzang, I hope he's on the roster next year. Because I think, and Tony Jones tweeted out today, that literally anything is possible this offseason, which, could be they go trade for some big name guy, could mean they trade away their big name guy. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's literally everything's on the table. You guys know where I lean. We got to talk about Keyonte George. Yes, the turnovers are up, and there were some 2 or 3 turnovers at the end of the game that were so brutal, and there was that one play where he should have got the foul call 100%, but you got to get up and keep playing, So things like that, he's got to learn to get over it. When the game's on the line, you can't complain with refs. You got to go play. But having said that, he played awesome tonight and showed why every Jazz fan should be excited. There was one stretch where he was slanging that ball. Tonight he had 5 assists. He was just crushing, and it was really fun to see, and you absolutely saw the future on the floor at that point and what it could become. He is so electric when he is in his bag and things are going his way. And Houston is a good defensive team. Teddy Wayman, oh my gosh, member for 3 months. Ted, you were on the playback tonight. It was a blast. Yes, it was great to watch on playback with you all. Absolutely. Guys, it was fun. I'm telling you, go to playback, look up SLC Dunk and join, and we can watch together because I'm going to be there every game. It's a blast, and it's a lot of fun. And then after playback, come here, and we'll talk about it because that's what we're going to do. It's a lot of fun. I hope they do it next year. SB Nation right now has a thing with playback, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll be doing it this year and next year. Let's see. So Keyonte George, look at this, 50% from the field. The 3 ball was falling for him early in the game. It wasn't late. It would have been huge if he'd have knocked down one of those pull-up threes at the end. But you just saw what he can do as a lead guard for the Jazz. He can, when the 3 ball is falling, when the shot is falling for him, he is electric. And this is the type of play we were seeing during the Jazz streak where they were winning so many games. And it was just nice to see. He absolutely has so much potential, guys. It's through the roof. And so I just, you got to appreciate when he's playing well, because when he does, you really see what he can do. And that shot will start falling. In 3 years, if it's not, then you start to worry a little bit. But I don't think you worry at all right now, because when you see nights like tonight, you really see what he can be. And it's exciting. And honestly, he played well defensively too. I mean, he can't switch onto a center, but not many players can. But he does a good job staying in front of his man. He does a good job of it. He is not a bad defender. And that was one of the questions we had coming into the season. And 100% he has answered it. So, very nice to see. All right, let's see. Let's talk about Talen Horton-Tucker. He might have had one of his best games of the season. And you look at the percentages, they're not great. The 3 ball, it seems actually better than what it seemed like at times. But he goes 2 for 6 from 3. He had that monster dunk. And he played pretty great defense. That was one thing that was really nice from THT. You should not be surprised that he was a +6 because he had, that block at the end of the game, fantastic. So I just want to give shout out to Talen Horton-Tucker, who played well tonight. Only 1 turnover. That might be a little deceiving, but you know what? 2 blocked shots, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Horton-Tucker was awesome. THT was great tonight, and he was a big part of the reason why they won. But anyways, let's move on. Bryce Sensabaugh had a nice game. They sat him a little bit in the second half, but I think mostly that was because they had other guys just absolutely rolling. But it was nice to see Sensabaugh knocking down his 3. In fact, he goes 4 for 9 tonight, which makes me wonder. I bet that percentage went back up. Let's just look. Yes, that went back up into the 30s, so that's nice to see. And hopefully he can knock down a few more by the end of the year just to get that percentage up. So it looks nice. It doesn't really matter. The Jazz know he can shoot the ball, but next year we're going to watch that a little closer. Anyways, it was nice. And Sensabaugh, look at this. He had 3 assists tonight, and they were good. That was one of the things about this Jazz team is they were passing the ball, and a lot of players moving it, making the right play, and doing a lot of great passing. It was fun to watch. Sensabaugh is figuring it out, and he's got a big body. He defends pretty well. It's nice to see. That was one thing that was really impressive tonight too. Was just the Jazz defense was good. We haven't seen good defense from the Jazz. I mean, last game I actually felt like last game they had moments of good defense, but tonight was like one of the better, defensive showings for them since trade deadline. And so really nice to see. Micah Potter, I don't have a lot to say. It was 8 minutes. He did not play a lot, so we're going to just move on. Darius Baisley's a player. Look at this, 4 for 5 from the field. He had 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocked shots. He's an athlete, and he can score the ball. I mean, 4 for 5 from the field is no joke. The Houston Rockets, remember, they were playing extremely well. And so for him to have a nice night like tonight and stringing together multiple nice nights, the Jazz, when they signed Baisley and Lofton, those were a little bit of a surprise signing, but both have turned out to be really nice and players that I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Jazz playing a lot more next season. Because Baisley had in the Stars playoffs, in the game the Jazz lost, I think it was not the Jazz, the Stars. Lofton played well. Baisley had 30 points in that game. And the Stars lost by one bucket. It's too bad because it would have been fun to see the Stars win the title for the G League. But Baisley was a big part of that. And you know what? These two guys right here are showing that they're NBA caliber. Now, when it's live ammunition and the Jazz are much better in a couple of years, we'll see if they're there and they're playing. But something tells me these guys could possibly be there. This Jazz team in 2 or 3 years is going to look really interesting. Who's on the team still, who's not, and whatever. But I certainly would love to see Baisley and Lofton next year getting a lot of minutes because I think they have potential to look really nice. But anyways, Baisley, he's an athlete. He makes lots of good plays. He makes smart decisions. He really defends. Functional athleticism, which is always nice to see. Where, there's a lot of guys that can jump high and run fast and do all these things, but can you use that athleticism on the floor and incorporate it into your game? And Baisley 100% does. So that's nice to see. We'll see if he can be a player that can be on the floor against good teams and help you make winning plays and win games. We'll see, but we're seeing the potential there for sure. Okay, it's time to talk about Kenneth Lofton. I don't know I hope you guys, if you haven't watched this game, you have to watch this game. He was awesome. He was awesome. The Jazz do not win this game without Kenneth Lofton Jr. tonight. I call him Kenny Lofton. I love this guy. I knew he was skilled. He won G League Rookie of the Year last year, so he's in his second year. So the Jazz got their Rookie of the Year finally. I was on Memphis, and then they just don't end up playing him anymore. He comes to Utah. And you know what? We'll see what happens. But this guy has skill, 100%. He goes 5 for 7 from the field, but some of these were, 2 for 3 from 3. He's 5 for 7 from the field. This included like 2 mid-range jump shots. He is a skilled basketball player, and he's a lot of fun. I mean, you'll talk about it, and I joke about it on the playback. He's got, a little junk in the trunk, but he uses it well. And you know what was impressive tonight? By the way, look at these numbers. He scores 14 points, 9 rebounds, and these 5 assists were incredible. He was getting the ball kind of free throw line. So if they're playing a zone, he breaks that zone easily. And what's kind of crazy about what he can do, his mid-range jump shot is money. I mean, it is money. And what happens is that big has to close out on him and guard him tough. And then we saw multiple times where he does a wraparound pass. We saw a couple times to Baisley where Lofton got that ball, free throw line extended, kind of fakes the jump shot and then just passes it down below, and Lofton would dunk the ball multiple times. It was so fun to watch. He is, I love this guy. And I hope he becomes our 6th man, and who knows, maybe he becomes something better. But there's one thing you can absolutely count on. He is a good shooter. He is a good passer. He's just flat out a really good basketball player. When you say triple threat stance, this guy absolutely triple threat because he can score at all 3 levels. It's not what's the word? Conventional, like your conventional player. but it 100% is effective. And in the end, all that matters is the ball's going in the basket more than for your team than for the other team, and you win the game. And he absolutely does it. But on top of that, I was kind of talking about him, pretty much ignorantly, but that he's not very good defender. At least last playback, he played great defense tonight. He played great defense. He had 2 blocks in this one. That block shot on Fred VanVleet at the end of the game was an absolute game-winning block shot. Unbelievable. And he moves his feet pretty well. He's got that offensive line footwork. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm talking about? Those offensive linemen that they're big boys, but man, when they get that into that stance and they are backing up, they got quick feet. And Kenneth Lofton has offensive lineman feet, and I mean that as a compliment. He is strong. He is big. I bet you he could play left tackle, but he also can move his feet on defense and block shots. It's really impressive. I love watching Kenny Lofton play basketball, and I'm so glad the Jazz have him on a 3-year contract. He better be on the Jazz. There are a lot of players on this team I would trade before I trade Kenny Lofton. I'll just say that, because in a season next year where the Jazz might be very bad for strategic reasons to get a very good player next year, because it's a great draft, great players at the top, you've got to be bad. You've got to go for it. We're going to have a lot of fun watching Kenny Lofton play basketball, and I'm excited. I'm happy about it. And he was absolutely a core part of winning this game tonight. And what was fun about the game tonight, too, is you could tell the players were happy. The players were laughing. Kenny Lofton was joking with Samanic, who I don't even know if he knew Kenny Lofton was joking. Samanic is, whatever. But they were having fun. They were dunking on people. I mean, that THT spin into the dunk, and the whole bench was just loving it. It was fun. This team played great tonight, and they deserved a win because they played the right way. They were moving the ball, and they played just good enough to beat a good team in the Houston Rockets. I mean, this Rockets team is good, and this Jazz schedule to end the season is brutal. So it was fun to get in the final home game for Jazz fans. And by the way, we were kind of joking a little bit on the playback about, the video and how much, Will Hardy and all the players say the fans were great. The fans are great. The fans were incredible tonight. I was disappointed in the Jazz fans last game because there were people chanting MVP for Nikola Jokic, and I just think that's embarrassing on your home floor to do that. Please don't do that. If you chanting for another team's player to get MVP, don't do that. But completely redeemed tonight. Sorry, I just hiccuped. Completely redeemed them tonight with just an incredible crowd. It's the last game of the season. The Jazz have lost 13 in a row. They are trying to lose to get a better draft pick. Hopefully Stephon Castle lands on the Jazz, but not most likely, probably not. And Jazz fans are just losing their minds, cheering them on like it's a playoff game. Jazz fans are the best. You give them a team that's competing in a big-time game at home, and Jazz fans absolutely show up. It's awesome. Jazz fans are awesome. Jordan the GOAT, what is the likely starting up lineup for the Jazz for next season? Well, that's a good question. The easy answer is I have no idea. But all right, thank you for the $5. Let's go through this, and then let's talk about the Jazz draft position and so on. It's kind of what is the Sherlock Holmes way of figuring out the crime? It's the art of deduction or something like that. I don't think Jordan Clarkson's on the team next year. I actually don't think Colin Sexton's on the team next year. I think the Jazz are going to make those moves. I think Lauri Markkanen is more of a question mark than people might think, but I could be completely wrong. Tony Jones said that he thinks that's one of the more sure things that he is on the team next year, and I just think, we'll see. And maybe the first day of free agency, that contract goes through, and I look dumb, and I'm okay with that. But I don't think that is 100%. We'll see. One thing that Danny Ainge And this is just something he's done a lot in his career, is that he's kind of tried to set up a team while also getting good picks from other teams, like he did with Brooklyn. I think he'd love to have um, Lauri Markkanen on the man. That was a brain fart. He'd love to have Lauri Markkanen on the Jazz and then have the picks just absolutely hit next year. But we know that they're not. And the fact that the Jazz don't convey their pick this year means that that's on the board again next year. And considering how much the Jazz have tanked this season in a draft that's not that great, at least in terms of star talent at the top, and the Jazz the Jazz went and did a 13-game losing streak to get that. What does that mean next year? So I think Keyonte George is starting point guard. I think Taylor Hendricks is going to play. I think that, I guess, if I was a gambling man, I'm gambling on Lauri Markkanen, but I don't think that's for sure. That's one that I'd be scared to bet on. Then I don't know if there's going to be anyone out there that wants to trade for John Collins. That's still a big contract. I mean, he's making $20 million or around there, and it's like 2 or 3 years left. And I like John Collins, but I don't know if he is, like, he's a solid rotation player, but I don't know if he's an high impact winning player. And I love John Collins. I don't want to talk bad about John Collins because he does a lot of nice things that the Jazz like. He shoots the three. He rebounds really well. Very bouncy. Good teammate. Plays the right way. All these different things. I just don't know if him at center at 6'9" is something that leads to a lot of wins, you know? So I wonder if the Jazz actually go with that and they're fine with the losses. So maybe, and then I think whoever they pick in the top 10. So Keyonte George, Taylor Hendricks, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, and then draft player. And then I think maybe Walker Kessler, although who knows, maybe Walker Kessler with Hendricks and Lauri Markkanen on the floor, maybe Kessler can play center and really win back that position, because I don't think that position is locked in for John Collins. I think that John Collins just earned it and won it and played better. You know, I think Walker Kessler had a down year and he could have an up year next year. Who knows? Or maybe he gets traded. I don't know. I think anything's on the board. And one thing we do know too with this Jazz team is Danny tries to trade up. He tried to trade up last draft and it didn't happen. I think he tries to trade up in the draft. We'll see. I know for a fact the Jazz love Stephon Castle. They love Stephon Castle. He is awesome. And I would be so excited if somehow the Jazz can trade up to like top 4 or top 3 and get Stephon Castle. I would be ecstatic about that. He can play the 2 next to Keyonte. He has a potential to be a kind of Drew Holiday type player where he's a great defender, really moves the ball. He's extremely unselfish. I mean, the stories out of UConn about him are just a coach's dream. The guy just wants to win. He does not care if he's getting points. He does not care if he's getting the Sports Center highlights. He wants to win that game. I tell you right now, I want Stephon Castle on the Jazz in a bad way. He is everything you want. And if you have Stephon Castle next to Key at 6'6" and defending like he does and moving the ball like he does, and by the way, I mean, incredible rebounder at guard, incredible steals guy, defense. He just does everything. And I know people will look at the percentage, but you know what? It looks a lot better than you'd think. I mean, it's like upper 20s, low 30s, whatever it is. I think he's the type of guy and the type of mentality and hard worker and just like big time competitor that you know that guy's going to work on that three. That 3-point shot is going to fall for him. I hope the Jazz trade the Wolves pick next year and their pick this year and all of their picks this year to trade up to get in the top 3 and take Stephon Castle. I'm going to cry so hard if we do not get Stephon Castle. I'm telling you right now. Phil Thomas, welcome to Rookie. We are a team that's bringing on more rookies this year and next year, and it's going to be awesome. So anyways, Jordan, hopefully that answers your question. By the way, the Jazz have potential to have 3 rookies this year, and I think they're all going to play because they want to develop their rookies and they want to lose some games next year. It's kind of what it feels like. Uh, Phil Thomas, my man, welcome to Rookie. I appreciate it. And anyone else who wants to join, absolutely. We got a rookie with promise, as they say, a potential Keyonte George in Phil Thomas. Welcome to the channel. So, anyways, hopefully that answers that. I mean, and then there's a scenario next year where Utah just says, hey, we like Keyonte, we like Taylor Hendricks, we think they're ready to contribute next year, and they go and trade for someone else. Maybe. I don't know, but that's certainly possible because they will keep their that's what's crazy. Okay, this is not going great right now. There are honestly two directions the Jazz can go next year. There's really only two. And it is either go trade for someone really nice and convey their pick next year, because in 2026 they have their pick swaps with Minnesota and Cleveland, and they lose those if they do not convey next year and they convey it in 2026. And we've talked about that a lot, but that is a legit scary thing. And so the Jazz could do one thing. They go next year and they just say, hey, we want to trade. We're going to trade Jordan Clarkson. We're going to trade Colin Sexton to see if we can find a guy that fits better with what we want to do and win some games. And then they get maybe in the play-in picture. Maybe they even make the top 8, possibly. Then there's another scenario where they trade everybody. They just play the rookies. They play 3 rookies from this draft this year, and they just see what they got, and they lose a lot of games, and they make sure they get a top pick in the draft next year. It's really only 2 routes they can go. That's why this offseason is going to be crazy. A lot of the signs are pointing to the latter, where they lose a lot of games next year. And personally, that's what I would like to do, because I just think it would be incredible for the Jazz to get a franchise-altering player like Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey. I forgot his name. He's going to be on the show here soon. He's out in Portland watching Ace Bailey right now. Let's see. I'm going to pull it up because I don't care. Tyler Rucker. He is with, he's with founder of No Ceilings NBA. Fantastic stuff for the draft if you want to follow him. But he's out there watching Ace Bailey and says all signs are pointing to outstanding player. And so they're just like, and then you think about Malawach. Dylan Harper in the McDonald's All-American game is probably like 4th or 5th in this draft. And he won the MVP over Cooper Flagg. That's what kind of crazy draft this is going to be. I'm going to pull this up. NBA draft 2025. It's just so tantalizing, guys. It's just so tantalizing. I can't hardly handle it. Cooper Flagg obviously won. Ace Bailey, number 2. Dylan Harper. Oh, they have him 3 now. Cameron Malawach. VJ Edgecombe right now is in Portland playing. He was nice in the All-American game as well. I mean, you get top 5, you're getting a nice player. Edgecombe is 6'5", an elite talent at shooting guard, all the physical tools and intangibles to be great. Hugo Gonzalez, I mean, all these guys are just so nice. Here's the thing. By the way, in fact, let's get to the tank. So Dink Pate, I believe that's how you say it. It's kind of an interesting name. He signed a 2-year contract with the G League Ignite, like, what's his name? Scoot Henderson. And he is slated to go top 10 next year in a great draft. Well, guess what? He is now, because the G League Ignite is being disbanded and that team is not going to exist anymore, he's left in no man's land because he doesn't have the G League Ignite, which he was under contract to play again next year. He played this year. He's like 17 years old. I think he might have been like freaking 16 years old playing professional basketball. He's like he's 17 right now. He is in no man's land because the G League Ignite is gone. He doesn't have a college that he has signed with. And so I'm sure he could just sign with any college. I'm sure there's, Duke would say, we'll take you in a second. But he is trying to get into this draft this year, and he's petitioning Adam Silver, and I think they might let him do it because it's not his fault that the G League Ignite disbanded. He is a really interesting player. The numbers aren't impressive. He did not hit shots at a high rate, but you watch him play and you can see the skill. You can see it. And the size, he's big. 6'7", 180. Pete has awesome size for a combo guard and can play on or off the ball. 2 years with the Ignite should prepare him. Well, he can't play with the Ignite because it got disbanded. High-level athlete. I think the Jazz might try to get him. If they can't get Stephon Castle, then they might go for Dink Pate. And I think I'm in on that because there's some of these guys that I'm not as big on. You know, maybe Modest Bucelis, but I think he's going to be gone before the Jazz, even though Tankathon has him here. I think Dillingham and Shepard are not going to go in top 7 or 8 here. I just don't see that because I think if you have a chance to get Bucelis, if you have a chance to get Stephon Castle, why would you take Shepard or Dillingham over Castle? Honestly, both players are undersized. 6'3" at most, when you can have this guy who's 6'6", insane athlete, defends, plays his heart out. I mean, those are the types of guys you bet on. 100%. 100%. And so Dink Pate, I mean, I'm not even sure Dink Pate would fall to Utah in this draft. That's what's crazy. There's going to be someone that falls, and I'm hoping it's Stephon Castle, but I think his stock is rising. Someone like Zachary Rizachet, who's been so high, who knows? Maybe he drops. He kind of tapered off at the end of last season. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So, guys, and look, Cody Williams is there too, and Utah might really like Cody Williams. So that will be fun to watch as well. We'll see what happens. All I can say is that I'm excited for the draft. I want to talk about the draft with every draft person out there. We had Leaf Tulane. I'm going to have Tyler Rucker on. I want to try to have some other Jazz beat writer people on, all the different people. And let's talk draft. Let's talk Jazz offseason, what's going to happen. So I'm hoping that all of you subscribe to the channel and you're here for it. And you watch because it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's do our nightly, what's it called? Tankathon. And let's see if the lottery was today, what would happen for the Utah Jazz. All right, guys, so Utah set in the 8th spot. They just need to lose one more game, and that is locked up for the rest of the season. If the lottery was today, what would... Let's see. Let me pull this up. If the lottery was today, what would happen? Let's see. Oh, Brooklyn jumps 6 spots, giving Houston the number 3 pick. It knocks Toronto out. Oh, no, Toronto jumps. Utah falls to 9. What a bummer. Although, if that still gets some Cody Williams, that's pretty awesome. I think Cody Williams might be in a Jazz jersey next year. Just because he fits everything they want to do. He can shoot the 3. In fact, let's look at Cody Williams. Look at this. Field goal percentage, he shoots the ball. He shoots it from 2, he shoots it from 3. Yes, he's got a list of weaknesses here, but he's 6. Look at his size, 6'8", 185 pounds. He's the younger brother of Jalen Williams on OKC, who is awesome. Why can't Cody Williams be awesome as well? I'm excited to watch. I think he would be fun to have on the Jazz and just watch him develop. And who knows? Someone like this with this kind of size and this kind of shooting ability, that's a guy you'd probably be interested in. And a lot of people talked about his ability to defend is pretty good. That he can defend multiple positions. You absolutely can when you're 6'8". So you can't teach 6'8". That's something you cannot teach. And I'm sure the wingspan comes with it. So there you go. I bet the Jazz in that scenario take Cody Williams. All right, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. Welcome again to Phil Thomas to the channel. Thanks for joining. But now we're going to give a shout out to our All-Stars. These are the guys and girls that make this happen. Supporting the channel, the producers of the show. All right, let's give a shout out to Ryan Perry, the legend, Nathan Butnett Burkhardt, Fly Eagles Fly Platinum Eagles, the Real Deal Lars Jarvin and Just Buckets JB, Baby Elliott Matson, Christian House Money to Haas, the Outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Ezekiel Raicibe, the man from down under. See ya, Alexa later. Built for Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, Mimigo de Abajo, Jordan the Goat Best Rule, TGD Total Game Domination, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, Patrick Kubo, The Connoisseur, and Robert, Hall of Fame. Guys, that was a lot of fun. Common Man, I think I'm taking Castle if it's between him and Dink, but There's a lot of upside with Dink Pate. There's a lot. He's big, too. He's like 6'6 to 6'8, too. And he's kind of got that offensive game that looks really tantalizing. Anyways, guys, if you're a Jazz fan and you haven't liked and subscribed yet, what are you doing? Like and subscribe to the channel. Guys, I will talk to you next time.